Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Wednesday's Reflexology Wisdom. And I am delighted to have my very good friend back in the room with me. It's Lee Anthony Taylor, and we're going to be talking about this might sound far too easy, but it is actually a way that you can potentially double your client base with one easy hack. So, being as we've got Lee in the room, you probably are aware of some of the previous conversations I've had with him. Lee and I are both passionate about, over to you, Lee.
Men's health.
Absolutely.
Absolutely men's health. Yeah. I wouldn't even say I'm an expert in men, let alone men's health, but what I'm trying to do these days is really raise awareness about it, and through channels like yourself, which is great. And I really appreciate coming on again. It's about changing perceptions. That's really what we've got to try and do is we've got to get to the point where not only men change their perceptions about their health, we change our perceptions about reflexology, which is something else I want to talk about, but also female practitioners need to change their understanding and their perception, and we need to address their fears as well when it comes to getting men into the clinic rooms and also into the profession.
Yes.
So that's really what I wanted to talk about today.
Indeed. So how would you suggest, let's do one of the ones that you mentioned about men's perception of reflexology. How would you suggest that reflexologists can make the idea of coming for a treatment more appealing to a man?
Yeah. Well, the thing about men as opposed to women, and this is a vast generalization, but it does work within the context I want to use.
Blokes are actually very good to generalize about. We do tend to fall into one or two categories.
Yeah, unfortunately we do. Is that men want to see an outcome.
Yes.
They want to invest their time and their money in something which is going to give them a result. Men are all about performance. They're all about measurement. They're all about outcome. And so if a man is told, and bearing in mind, we go back to what you were saying with the Advertising Standards Authority, you have to be very clear and very careful
Yes.
about what you say. Now, it's more about what reflexology isn't rather than what reflexology is that we've worked out. We've worked out that reflexology isn't these kind of things, but we haven't clearly defined, even amongst the profession, let alone giving it to the public, we haven't defined what reflexology actually is. And of course, there are many different courses out there that will promote and market it. And so that creates a kind of confusion to the general public. Now, men will be doubly confused because they will...
It doesn't take a lot to confuse me, and therefore generalizing again, probably most other men.
Yeah. So they need to have some very simple guide to what reflexology can offer. Now, I know that this is where the ASA starts to become more of an issue, is that if you say to a man, if you've got back problems, if you've got problems with fatigue, if you've got problems with, general stress, there are very narrow parameters within which you can promote that and say reflexology will help with all these things. People only need to refer to your previous few YouTube episodes and they'll see what I mean by that. But we need to get across the idea that men's health is more valuable to men than they really realize, because so many men will undervalue themselves. They will not take their health as a prime consideration. So if you market it to men by saying, if you look after yourself, you can then look after everybody else. That is not an ASA restriction per se. What you're saying is reflexology will help you to become more of a fitter person, or a clearer person, or more stamina, or more energy, or more able to get through the day. Those generalizations, I think, would appeal more to men, simply because there's a vast majority of men out there that are operating on nearly empty.
Yes. Oh, good grief. Absolutely.
And they don't realize it. They just think, well, that's the standard. That's what,
That's right.
that's
And
what
and also using the right kind of words. One of the things that you were talking about was stress and anxiety, which isn't the sort of words that men would like to admit to. But if you're talking about burnout, then
yeah,
I'm thinking that's more of
yeah.
a thing that would appeal to men.
It's a masculine word, isn't
It
it?
is a
Burnout
masculine
is like
word. This is
gym
it.
all the time, and you've done all this. So it is a very yang word to use.
Yeah.
Um, So, yeah, we do have to be careful with the words that we use. But I would also argue that we need to push the boundary just a little bit as well. We need to test out what the limit is with the ASA
Yeah.
to the point where we're saying, how can we ever, beyond our own belief in reflexology working, prove that it has that capability
Yes.
unless we start to test where the limit
Yeah.
is?
Now, I tell you what, Lee, because here is actually you need to watch a few episodes on, because I also do have another interview coming up where I have a very reliable person, shall I just say, who
Okay.
has said that if we use the right kind of wording, we can, as you say, stretch things a little bit more.
Mm.
And the way that you phrase things, if you were to say that with reflexology, we know that we can, and now there are certain things that we can say, of course, which is improving blood flow
Mm.
and helping with rest and recuperation and stress. Those things we can say.
I mean, I've always said that you can get out of the chair more relaxed than when you got into it.
Absolutely. But then if you then take it another step on and to say then through the fact that reflexology can improve circulation, we could then help with.
Yeah,
And
indirect.
then it's a case of that things are more. But I'm not going to say any more than that because I've got a very, very special interview coming up about careful use of words that are going to be acceptable. And I'm thinking, of course, here in the UK with the Association of Reflexologists, Federation of Holistic Therapists, those kind of organizations, it will be very, very similar in America, Canada, all the rest of it.
Mhm.
And it's interesting as well. Another plug: we've got Chris Shirley. We've got something very, very special coming up as well with something that he's going to be offering us. And he was worried that he might be saying too much, and it turned out he wasn't. So it's
Mm.
exciting times. It's
Yeah.
exciting times. But let's get back to men.
Yeah. The thing about men, I think, just to round up your first part of your question, is how we make it appealing to them is to make them recognize that it has those health benefits,
Yes,
general health benefits. So it will help them to feel relaxed, it will help to detoxify, it will
yeah,
help to rejuvenate, it will help to restore circulation. All of those things, I can't see how that would fall foul of any
no,
advertising law.
no, exactly.
And what we've also got in this culture, so I can refer that to any Western culture that's watching, is we have the highest incidence of suicide in men between the ages of 18 to 30 out of any
Wow.
group. And it's not shown any signs of getting any better. And this is due to the adverse effects of that stress, of the pressure, of the expectation of what a man is supposed to be like.
Yeah,
Because changing perceptions of men, I mentioned those words right at the start, we change perceptions, is men now are in situations they weren't in a generation, 2 generations back, where they were predominantly out earning the money, coming home, putting the pay packet on the table and going, right, there you go, Sylvia, spend that. And it isn't like that anymore because there's that equal footing, quite rightly, that needs to be there. But men, as a result of that, have had to redefine themselves and go, well, what is my role? What is my responsibility now? And men in particular have always been educated, I use that word advisedly, to be the protective provider. It's been ingrained in the culture where you come in, you look after your family. You know, even just saying it, I'm as guilty as anybody of it. You feel as though if you don't do that, then somehow you're not doing your job.
It is absolutely true. I will completely agree with me. I like to think that
And most
I
people
am
like
a
to think,
modern day man,
yeah,
but and you know what? I even got told off the other day for holding the door open for a lady. But I just do it. It's to me it's good manners. But
yeah. You know, and I think the thing is that because of those changing perceptions now is a vital time to bring men into the clinic rooms to say, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be confused. It's okay not to be sure what your role is anymore,
yeah,
because all those pressures around you are just sending you in many different directions and
yeah,
not giving you a clue as to where you're going to find peace within yourself.
exactly.
And you come into a clinic room and there's an opportunity for you to find that peace and to feel comfortable with the fact that you're not just a piece of meat. You know, you're a functioning, energetic being
Yeah,
that has all those emotions and all those thoughts and everything that goes with that. And it's perfectly legitimate to feel and to think those.
that's right. Can I add on just as well while we're rounding this little section off? You mentioned outcomes.
Mm.
And I'm wanting to actually challenge you guys that are watching this to actually start going for measured outcomes, because you cannot beat when I walk, a testimonial. We were talking about testimonials just on the previous one before Jane Sheehan's interview that I did. This is 2 episodes ago, talking about being able to do testimonials via Google My Business.
Yeah, remember that.
If you're able to have somebody that was able to say, when I came into Lee's treatment room, I was only able to rotate my head 30 degrees one way and 30 degrees the other way. When I left
Mm.
Lee's treatment room, I was able to have full 180-degree rotation of my neck. And then they, finish it off with a wow or something like that. Now, there's a very, very simple way of being able to do this. When someone obviously sits down, you ask them, how much can you move? I've mentioned the guy that I had with frozen shoulder. He would
Yeah.
go, just up there. And then when he left, it would be a case of straight up. A client I had yesterday, she has got whiplash. So in the past, she's now got full movement. It's brilliant. But in the past, I said, right, how much can you move? And she literally just goes like this. And then she goes like that. And that's all she can do. And what I will do on her feet, so I'm going to do it on my hand here so you can see, I will literally just hold the neck joint just here. And I will ask her to flex her toe. I'm just going to, there we go, that's better so you can see. So I'm giving a good squeeze, flex her toe as I'm squeezing like this. We'll do that for about 2 minutes. And then after that, I'll say, right, now how much can you move? And every time she's gone, ah, wow, like this.
Yeah,
It's such a simple
yeah.
little trick that you can do with reflexology. Now, any sort of movement that is a musculoskeletal movement, you can do that. So if it's a stiff shoulder, again, sort of working on the shoulder reflex. Now, this is another one, Lee. Would you agree with me? Men like to feel what's going on. Yeah, exactly. So what I would do is get your knuckles out, for those of you who are ladies watching this, and really have a good old workaround on the shoulder if the shoulder is hurting, hips if the hips are hurting. Do get in there. Don't be frightened to, because men will actually like it.
It's sad but true, isn't it, that men actually no pain, no gain. You know, we spend this whole career trying to get people to experience pain, but to be free from pain. But yet they think that there's something laudable almost. Come in with as much pain as possible and experience it and feel that pain. And if you don't feel it, then there's something wrong with you.
Yeah,
You know, and that's more of a man thing than a woman thing.
it is. And I'm not saying create pain in the treatment room, but all I'm saying is, I mean, we have a mantra. I know you've heard this one from me before: positive pressure, not pull away pain. and so that the client can really feel what's going on, but then they feel like they're getting an outcome from the treatment,
Yeah.
but then also check in with the client. Right, how's your movement now? Then it becomes a measurement, and then you can say, right, if you want to get further improvement, let's book another treatment. And I'll tell you what, I challenge you, if you got a man that's improved in a treatment, they'll book again. They
Oh, yeah.
really, really will.
Oh, yes. Your greatest skeptics, but your biggest ambassadors.
Couldn't have put it better, my friend.
Yeah. And it's true, you know. I mean, the number of times that I've had men sort of like this, sort of looking around and seeing what's going on with somebody who having their feet done at a fair or something like that, and then you get them in the chair and they're like, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" And you do some work on them, and they're like, "Okay, don't know what that was, but do that again."
Do you know what? I mean, I'm not just saying this. I was doing reflexology in the pub last night. Seriously. And there's 3 men and 1 woman. 3 men all into this. And they were loving it, absolutely thinking it was amazing. I just started out doing a bit of foot reading on someone because I was in conversation. And then that was it. Everybody's gathered round. Fabulous. You know,
We're
it's
in the wrong setting. We need to be in the pub, not in the clinic room. That's where we've been going wrong.
I tell you what, seriously, reflexology, it's the martini of all body therapies because it is anytime, any place, anywhere. It's the wonderful therapy you can share, but it's because you don't need to get undressed for it. It's brilliant. But coming now then, I think we've got a good segue into women's perception of men coming for reflexology. If you have managed to create this outcomes-focused style of reflexology, would you agree with me, Lee, that we're going to be moving right away from that kind of, I dare I even say it, reflexology with a happy ending scenario, and it's going to become much more clinical, much more focused, and then this issue of a dodgy guy coming in for reflexology isn't even going to be there.
I
Hopefully.
think that it comes down to the associations at the end of the day. I think it comes down to also even higher level, the associations that run the associations. We need to have a positive marketing campaign whereby, and some very brave conversations where we say these 2-day reflexology courses or a reflexology add-on to a beauty course do not constitute and must not constitute reflexology.
I tell you what, I can hear people going, yes,
But
as they're watching
we
this.
need to be brave about it, because what
Yeah.
have we got to lose by it? Otherwise, we just prolong the agony of people going, "Oh, well, I've lost business to a person that's got long nails, and every time they do my feet, they basically just dig their nails into my feet. It's a horrible experience."
Mm.
You know, you wouldn't ask a mechanic to do a bricklayer's job.
No. Or the other one I've heard, it's a namby-pamby lightweight massage, and they call it reflexology.
Yeah. I mean, Tony Porter, who you know very well as well, would agree with us, and I'm speaking to him quite often about it, and he gets more and more irate.
But he's brilliant, though, isn't he?
The idea is that where are we going with reflexology? Where is it heading? Is it sort of spreading out and becoming diffuse and anybody can do it, or is it becoming a very strong discipline? In my opinion, it needs to be, in order to be taken seriously. I know me and you have had conversations about regulation before now as well. The regulation aside, in order to be taken seriously, and this is where it addresses the issue around women letting men into the clinic rooms, we need to tell everybody who comes for a reflexology treatment what it isn't, and that includes all those dodgy things that men probably think that it is, but also for women as well, to make it clear to them that if they set out their stall and say, "This is what I provide," very clearly. I know I did a survey with the AOR 3 years ago on men's health, and I had about 400 odd responses. It was amazing. And it was so illuminating for me, and quite scary as well, in that one person in particular said that she had a panic button attached to the local police station,
What?
so that if ever she had a male client, she felt safe enough
Gosh.
that she could use that. Now, to get to that stage is crazy, really, in my opinion. I'm not saying that she's crazy. I'm saying that the scenario where somebody has to do that means that we're not providing the support either at the association level, at the teaching level as well, where we encourage female practitioners through advice to say, right, okay, telephone consultation, email, do all these things before you even get men into the clinic room, but also do it for women as well,
Yeah.
because there are some female clients out there who are just as not on the level as they should be, shall we say, or health tourists, the ones that just dodge about all over the place. They'll try any therapy once, and by having strategies in place, it's then about making it safe for female practitioners to
Yeah.
go, you know what, that's absolutely fine. I've done all the vetting procedures now that I need to do for me.
Mm.
And some female practitioners might say, my husband's in the other room,
Yes.
things like that. Or they certainly wouldn't be the
Or
top.
just get their husband to answer the door
Yeah,
and take the person through to the treatment room, and then she then comes in to do the treatment.
it is a sad state of affairs,
It
though,
is, it is.
when
But the
male
interesting there is actually, you were just sort of very briefly said about this, there is the other side to this.
yeah.
True story. Absolute gospel truth. I was a time where I was a mobile reflexologist,
Mm.
knocked on the door. This lady met me in a see-through negligee. I kid you not. She thought I was some sort of gigolo using reflexology to be like a cover. So it's not just
Mm.
the occasional man that will have the wrong idea of reflexology. It does happen the other way. By the way, just in case anybody's wondering, I did turn straight around and walk away.
Good man, good man.
But it can happen anyway. It can
Uh,
happen any
this
which
is
way.
this is such a delicate subject to get involved with, because we're just not having the conversation at the moment. And
No,
here we are, two blokes talking about it, and all the connotations that come in with that. In particular, what they do is they polarize views,
it
because
does,
men will
sadly.
go, well,
Yeah.
reflexology is all about that, and women will go, well, reflexology is all about that. And because they don't talk to each other or see each other's point of view, then essentially what you've got is everyone goes to the corners and goes, well, I'm not working with male
Mm,
clients because they're just not genuine. And men go in, well, I'm not going there because it'll just be a ticklish massage, and I don't want that, and I'm not spending my money on that.
yeah.
So it has to come from the associations. I believe it has to come from the associations, who say, through positive marketing, and this is something I'm in discussion with the AOR at the moment as well,
Ah,
is this is what reflexology is. This is how it can benefit you. Get along to it, your nearest practitioner now. The other half of what my crusade, if you want to call it that, is about is get more men into the clinic rooms, into the profession.
oh
Because if there's
gosh.
more men into the profession, then you've got male treating male, and then that whole issue around sexuality
Out the
dissolves.
window then, isn't it? Not a problem. Exactly.
So
To conclude this, though, what I would suggest, and here is an easy way, if you're worried about introducing men into your practice, and that is you've obviously then got a lot of women that come to see you. And in conversation with your female clients, and we all know that word of mouth is the easiest way to build new business, is to just say to your female clients that their male partners, that their husbands, wouldn't they perhaps benefit from coming from reflexology as well? You are then getting started with a safe client base of men for you to then reassure yourself that we're not then going to be having those nasty moments. And they're people that you are already going to know through someone else.
Yeah.
And what an easy way to double your business.
Yeah. I mean, you've probably got people out there now that are probably looking at this and they're going, well, I've got plenty of male clients. I don't know what the problem is. And there is that situation that's out there where that works.
Yeah.
But for every one of those people that might say that, there are also people out there who answered that survey that I did a few years back who are terrified of the idea of having a man come into their clinic room, literally terrified. And I use that word without exaggeration. And that's quite frightening, really, that half of your potential client base is missing, which is what you started this whole episode with, bring people in.
Yeah.
Simply out of a fear, an unfounded fear in most cases. In some cases, it's sort of, they've had a horrible experience and never again. But men are being left out. And that's what I want to bring it back round to as I finish up here, is that men deserve not only to treat themselves better, in other words, take themselves seriously and take their health seriously, but also the reflexology profession needs to be more open and amenable to bring them in through advertising, through marketing, through the word of mouth, the recommendation, all that kind of thing, but in a safe way.
Yeah.
So you've got to balance those two things, and also following the letter of the law and all that.
Oh, absolutely.
But this is where the push has to happen, because what we're seeing within the health service now, the deterioration of services that we're seeing, means that there's never been a better time for reflexology to come in. Kevin Kunz, in one of his posts a few months back,
said, he's really on it, isn't he? Yes.
And I totally agree with him that we're missing a trick here. Otherwise, we are really missing a trick. So as reflexologists, we can galvanize ourselves to say, right, this is what needs to happen. How can I, at an individual level first, make a difference through my marketing to bring more men into my clinic room? Do I know anybody that wants to train as a reflexologist? In which case you need to go to this man here and get yourself trained up to the highest level, so that more men in the profession means more men get attracted, because they go, oh, well, if he can do it, I can do it.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's where we're at.
Brilliant. So, guys, I hope that it has challenged some preconceived ideas. I hope that it's also inspired you. I hope that maybe, actually, more than anything else, you are now thinking, do you know what? I could do that. And in the comments on the way where we've got this on YouTube, do let me and Lee know if you've had great experiences with men. Let us know if you're thinking, yeah, okay, I'm going to give this a try. And if you do, how you get on. We really, really would love to know. Yeah. We don't put these videos up just thinking, oh, we've got some time to fill and we'll just do this because it's a bit of fun. We really, really, really want this to be something that's going to help. And we genuinely think this is going to be a very, very good way of potentially doubling your client base. So thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and thank you from me, and thank you from
me. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.